Hello there, my name is Mooseman. Today I will be informing you of whether you should play, wait, or avoid the top-down arena fighter Grand Class Melee 2. As always, we will be looking at gameplay, visuals, value, and future potential before making a final verdict on the early access version of Grand Class Melee 2. Grand Class Melee 2 is a multiplayer arena fighting game where you battle to the death versus 3 other players or AI. The main focus of Grand Class Melee 2 is creating a class to counter and combat your opponents through 8 quick rounds of combat. You have a primary ability, a secondary ability, and a basic attack, which you must use to kill off your opponents. While you initially start with only 4 classes to choose from, you get 2 choices on which class you want to evolve your character into after each round. The choice will be critical in making a difference between winning and losing, as each choice presents you with a new primary ability. Your previous evolutions are still important, however, because you'll have to use one of those previous abilities in your secondary slot. It's important to choose your abilities carefully because abilities that can combo with each other will have a much higher chance of success than just 2 random abilities. Having 8 rounds to develop your character allows for a huge amount of diversification. There are actually a total of 66 different classes and abilities for you to evolve into. So let's talk about how you win in Grand Class Melee 2. While I briefly explained the ability system, your success in Grand Class Melee 2 depends on how many people you kill and if you survive each round. The final score is based on whether you survived the round, how many kills you got, how many deaths you got, and if you did the most damage. You also get bonus points at the end of the set if you did the most damage or had the most kills after all 8 rounds are finished. You can change how many points each of these provides to better customize your gaming experience. Grand Class Melee 2 is a surprising amount of fun once you get the hang of the fast-paced rounds and how the combat works. You must be able to choose your abilities that not only combo off yourself, but are designed to beat your opponents. I played as many classes, but I prefer to start with the Savant class, which evolves into using mage-like abilities. When I was playing my character, I would have extremely low health, but I was able to combine the high damage abilities of the Elementalist evolution with the defensive fire ring of the Mage evolution. It's combinations like these and the need to adapt in Grand Class Melee 2 that makes it such a unique experience each time you play a match. One thing that's always prevalent in fighters is being able to counter your opponents, and in Grand Class Melee 2 it takes it to another level with the amount of classes available. Another important part of Grand Class Melee 2 is the environment in which you fight. While sometimes the battlefield itself is completely ignored in fighting games, it plays a vital role in Grand Class Melee 2. Knowing how the terrain will affect your character is an extremely important part of battle, as keeping as mobile as possible will be essential to ensuring that you're able to hit and dodge your enemies. Walking through a river may seem like the quickest path, but this can often lead to you being shot as you try to slowly cross. There are also certain classes that can directly affect terrain, so ensuring that you won't get caught dead in the river is essential. It's also important to use the trees and other objects to your advantage, whether you use them for cover or use them to surprise attack your opponent. Playing against computers is fun, but beating on your friends is even better. The game feels similar to Smash Brothers in the sense that you end up playing a bunch of games and gradually progress from very limited ability to absolutely insane back and forth wins and losses between you and your friends. I played Grand Class Melee 2 with one of my friends, and we quickly began to get better and better at using abilities that complemented each other and dodging each other's attacks. One critical flaw in this multiplayer system, however, is that it's only local multiplayer. This is absolutely huge because while I love having friends over to play games on the couch, as a PC game I expected it to be able to play with friends online. That isn't to say that online multiplayer isn't a promised feature in the future, but it is something that the game desperately needs as soon as possible if it wishes to grow into a game with an active online community. For those of you who played the original Grand Class Melee on console, you may have noticed the gameplay has stayed the same for the most part, but there are a few changes that have been made for Grand Class Melee 2. The original Grand Class Melee was only for console marketplaces, which is why you won't be able to find the original on Steam. The next change is a static camera to a dynamic camera system. Instead of the camera being set on the entire battlefield, the camera now moves around with the players and focuses in when the players are together and zooms out when the players are farther away. This helps a lot with the fighting because being able to accurately hit your opponents is something majorly important when a lot of the classes have ranged abilities. Visuals have also been upgraded to a more advanced sprite system with much higher resolution textures. The interface has also changed slightly and takes up much less screen space by removing the cooldown bars and replacing them with smaller cooldown orbs. I consider all these changes to be very positive improvements to an already solid first iteration. In terms of visuals, the style of graphics in Grand Class Melee 2 works extremely well with the game. The sprite-based world and characters are nothing special, but are well done and do a good job of not interfering with the gameplay. The camera system I referred to earlier definitely gives the visuals more impact. The sprites scale up and down instantly and keep focus of the game where the action is without removing too much of the surrounding view. I only have one criticism when it comes to the visuals: the initial launch screen art. The drawn art at the beginning is almost jarring when compared to the rest of the game because it just doesn't fit in with the style or the theme or anything else in Grand Class Melee 2. Literally everything else in this game is sprites, and then they have this weird art on the front page that doesn't even seem to look close to what the classes actually look like in game. I know it's important to have some art for the game, but I think it would have been better to use some of the sprites in the first screen rather than using this out of place artwork. At $10, Grand Class Melee 2 is priced similarly with other fighter games and is a pretty fair price for the multiplayer experience you are getting. The catch is that the game is multiplayer only. You can play with bots, but beyond that there really is no single player mode. The game doesn't feel incomplete without a single player mode, but for those looking for something to play alone, this may not be the game for you. There's also a 4-pack available at $25, which discounts the game pretty significantly if you and some friends want to be ready for when online multiplayer is eventually released. Like I expressed earlier, the online multiplayer is the number one thing that this game needs to implement for the future. After reading the developer interview on the early access page, it seems to be that the developers know this as well, and I have faith in their ability to add the online capabilities soon. Other than that, the game feels pretty feature complete. There are other game modes promised for the future, and that will only improve the experience offered here. The one thing that can enhance the game further is the ability for community-made mods to be implemented into the game. By coming onto the PC, Grand Class Melee 2 seems like a game that would be perfect for modders to fool around with in terms of making extra classes, new abilities, and new maps. One final thing they have promised to do is actively balance the game, which is an essential part of keeping any fighting game healthy. While in my playtime I didn't notice any particularly bad instances of overpowered classes, balancing is still an important thing to do when looking at the longevity and future of the game. As a coach multiplayer game, Grand Class Melee 2 is a blast. The evolution of classes allows you to change and counter your opponents actively while still in the same set of games. The quick rounds are fun and fast, and it gives a huge amount of depth to what you can experience in this game. That being said, I decided to give Grand Class Melee 2 a verdict of wait. Without online multiplayer, the game is hindered greatly for people like me who get 95% of their multiplayer experience through matchmaking on the internet. Unless you only plan to play this game locally, I would recommend waiting until an online update is released to experience this interesting take on the arena fighting genre. Thank you for watching this play, wait, or avoid review of Grand Class Melee 2. If you would like to buy the game, a link to the Steam store page is in the description below. And if you would like to see more of my content, subscribe and check out my channel where I do reviews and other gaming commentary, such as my review of the top-down racer The Next Penelope, or my review on the roguelike game Sproggywood.